Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. This is a follow-up to yesterday, part 2, the fraudulent economy. Um, I was having some major technical difficulties yesterday, and I couldn't do the lesson due to the streaming. Something was going on really bad with the streaming, and instead of just trying to fight it, yesterday I just left it alone because it was happening for a while. So, so like I wasn't able to bring out this lesson yesterday, um, but here we are now. So, what is an economy? Economy is the wealth and resources of a country or region, especially in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services. Careful management of available resources. And as we read yesterday, the person that's in charge of the economy would be a treasurer, which is a person appointed to administer or manage the financial assets and liabilities of a society, company, local authority, or other body. Then it says, what is the role of a treasurer? A treasurer may be in charge of or oversee the organization's financial affairs, which may include activities as simple as choosing a bank, reconciling bank statements, and monitoring cash flow. The treasurer may also be responsible for investing funds in accordance with applicable legislation. And pretty much, these devils understand how an economy runs. They understand what real money is. And, first and foremost, they have the scriptures, and they know how true money operates and that they're not supposed to charge interest, which scriptures call usury. A treasurer in the scriptures is known as a steward. We went through a couple of precepts last night or yesterday. Not sure how much of that it caught. I meant to watch the little bit that did get caught on video, but I didn't go back and watch it. So what I want to do is I want to show you that pursuant to the laws that Esau has in place, now keep in mind they know the scriptures because the Rothschilds, which are the ones, along with other international banking families, but the head family, the Rothschilds, when they established, the Fed or the Federal Reserve, you had the father of the 5 sons of the Rothschild, known as Maya Amschel Bauer. He made a statement, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws, because he understood how money works and how you can manipulate it. And his father, Moses Rothschild, or Moses Bauer, he was a rabbi. So they knew the laws backwards and forwards of the scriptures. Now, when we go to right here, weights and measures, right? They understand about weights and measures. Now, what are weights and measures? Because when we read the scriptures speak about weights and measures. Weights and measures are units of measurement subject to governmental regulation to ensure fairness and transparency. Weights and measures may also refer to various weights and measures acts, the International Bureau of Weights and Measures, the International Standards Organization, and its subsidiary. So what are these weights and measures about? Well, these weights and measures are about weighing real money. What is real money? Well, according to the scriptures, real money is gold and silver. When we go to the Blue Letter Bible, right, for instance, or other sites that you can go and search the concordance out, when you type in the word money, right, for instance, the word money shows up in Genesis 17 and 12, right? And it speaks about, in this one, it says, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. So even when you go through the scriptures in the Old Testament and you look up the word money and you go to the Hebrew, right? When you look up the word or the term or the word money in the Hebrew, right, we come across the word kasap. Now, what does the word kasap mean? The word kasap means silver, money, silver as metal, as ornament, as color, money, shekels, talents. So these are all, weights and measures of money, which these devils understand that. So even when we go to the Constitution of the United States of America, in Article 1, Section 8, it says, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes. When we scroll down here to this line, it says, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. So they're letting you know here that what is considered money are what? Coins. So it says to coin money and regulate the value thereof. Why? Because you had a certain weight and measure. Because however heavy that silver or that gold was, that was what the value was established upon. Now, when we scroll down to section 10 of the same article, it says, no state shall enter into any treaty, all right, coin money, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So when we go to the old, paper dollars that they passed into circulation so that people wouldn't have to carry gold and silver, and that gold and silver could so-called be protected from thieves because it would get heavy and, thieves would steal it. They would pass out silver and gold certificates, which were written on dollar bills. Back then you had your $1 bill, your $2 bills, your $5 bills, $10 bills, so on and so forth. And each one of those would say that they were a silver or gold certificate based upon the weight of that money, right? And they understand that the weight of that money would be established upon, these coins that they had. Now, when we go to the 231 U.S. Code, which is the USC Section 5101, this is known as the decimal system. Now, what is the decimal system? It gives us the expression of money. It says United States money is expressed in what? Dollars. So dollars, dimes or tenths, cents or hundreds. Now a dollar is not money. A dollar is not money. But what a dollar is a measurement of money. That's why you have $1, you have $5, you have $10, $20, $50, so on and so forth. And what is that? A measurement of a substance that is equal to money. And what are those substances? Well, we just read that Congress shall have no, they cannot make anything money but coin. Silver or gold coins is the only thing they can tender as money. All right. So a dollar is not money, but it is an expression of money, because it is a weight, and they understand that. Right. It says, in mills or thousandths, a dime is a tenth of a dollar, a cent is a hundredth of a dollar, and a mill is a thousandth of a dollar. So this is law that they have established on the books to let you know that they understand how money works. They understand what money really is. They tell you within the Constitution what it is because they know the scriptures and they've established this society, whenever it suits them. They have established certain principles of the scriptures, but they don't follow those principles of the scriptures. That's why in the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter, it says, 10:1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, because although they give you the right way to do things and the truth about certain things concerning money, real money, they don't follow the tenets of the scriptures and they don't follow the righteousness of the law. And this is why people are duped out of their assets, out of their homes, out of their goods, out of their land, out of the, whatever it is that they have that is of any value, because what they are giving you, instead of money is nothing but debt-bearing notes based off of these dollars that they pass out, which are not backed by real money, which is silver and gold. All right. And when we go back, where is it? Okay, we got that. When we go here to, when I typed in was, when was the United States Mint founded? Because this is what was established to create this real money. A mint is somewhere where they print, or hammer out coins, which is supposed to be what? Silver or gold coins when you go back to the Constitution, which we'll get real quick again, just so you can see. Article 1, Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, coin money, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. And then they would be able to establish the regulations of these things based off of the weight of these coins, whether it be silver or gold. All right, now the United States Mint was established on April 2nd, 1792. All right, so this has been going on for a while. So they know the real definition of money. They know the real definition of money in the scriptures. When we go to our forefather, Abraham, for instance, in the book of Genesis, chapter 13, right, and verse 2, and Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Now, earlier, what we did was we looked up the word or the term money in the scriptures, and it took us back to what? To the word kasap, which means silver. Now, here, he was very rich in silver, and when we go to this word silver, you have the word kasap again, which is silver money. All right, so they understand and know this. When we go to our forefather Job was also a very rich man. Let's go to Job chapter 1 and verse, Salakia. Job chapter 1 and verse 3. This is dealing with Job. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all of the East, because he was very rich in these substances, because land, cattle and things of that nature are true wealth. And this is why these devils, try to, manipulate the money system so that the people that are using this money system can become debt slaves. They understand that slavery comes through debt, so the way that they can justify putting people into captivity without having people rebel is by making them debt slaves. And this is why they put this whole system in place, so that they could eventually collapse the system that is in place in the economy and establish the new system of the future, which would be the MOTB, which is the micro CHIP, which is what they will use to enslave the planet. So in Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity, because what is iniquity? Iniquity is compounded sin, just like transgression is compounded sin, sin on top of sin on top of sin. So what do? They devise it. How do they devise it? By these think tanks that they put together to find out what is the best way to put these people out here into debt slavery. And they already know that usury, which is interest, is one of the ways to do it. But in order to do that, they have to get them entangled in this web of debt. And when you go to the back of the $1 bill, you look at the outer edges of that $1 bill. What do you have there? You have nothing but a bunch of cobwebs that are in there, with a whole bunch of other symbolisms in there. But those cobwebs represent that once you take on this particular money system, which is not money at all, you get entangled in that web of debt. And this is what they want, and this is why the nations around the world are mad and angry, because they got caught up in that web. This is why they're now trying to untangle themselves out of that web and go into another type of financial system that is more honest, and this is why November 1st, the BRICS nation that want to bring out their currency. Some people say it's $50 per $1 US. Some say 55 per $1 US, which that's going to cause the economy to implode even more than it already is. It says, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, meaning they put it into use, because it is in the power of their hand, because they have the power to do this. And they covet fields, see? And this is why, like, even right now, we have the situation out there in Maui, right, where that island in Hawaii was on fire, but it wasn't a wildfire. It was a fire that was created by a DEW, which they call DEW. And pretty much the people on the island were saying that they weren't even given time to mourn, because the very next day, from what I understand, you had people trying to buy that land that was destroyed by this weapon, and now, this is what they do. They covet fields, and they do certain things to destroy lands, to take it away, or they in turn put people into such a yoke of debt, that they have to give up their goods. This is why you have the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, that goes around the world, policing the world financially, giving aid to these nations to so-called help them, but it's nothing more than an entanglement in the weave of debt. And then when they can't pay, they have as collateral their assets, their resources, their land, their homes, their people. All right. They understand about debt slavery. They know the history of Egypt, and how Joseph had, was set up into a position of, officiating the business of Pharaoh, and he was the head of that whole thing, and how the Egyptians came to him till they had no more money. They came to him till they had no more cattle, and they had to eventually sell their lands and themselves in order to receive the benefits of that kingdom. And they became what? Debt slaves. So it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. And this is what we're witnessing right now in Maui. It says, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, which this is something that should not be done. But these devils do that because they could never have enough. All right. So this United States Mint was established April 2nd, 1792, for the sake of, printing out, or stamping out coins, silver and gold coins. All right. And to establish, the rules and regulations of money, as it is said in their own constitution. Now, when we go to the book of Leviticus 19 and 35, it says, "You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment." Now, keep in mind, these laws, statutes, and commandments were written to us, the Israelites. It wasn't given to the other nations. But now it applies to them. Why? Because Esau, first and foremost, said that he was following the tenets of the scriptures. He said that, he in God they trust, that they're a Christian society, right? So we know that so-called Christians, even though we know better, but so-called Christians are supposed to follow the tenets of the Bible, which they don't do, and Esau does not do it either. This is why the Lord said unto the wicked, "What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenants in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instructions and castest my words behind thee?" So pretty much they use the scriptures, as a front man, but when it comes down to putting into work, the instructions of the book, they don't do it. They bring out their own penal codes. So this is why the Lord said, "You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure." So the weights and the measures were set up to establish righteousness. Okay? You had coins and you had certain weights that would be used to let you know how much these coins weighed, and whatever the established standard was at the time, that's what would be used to officiate business. It says just balances, just weights, but sometimes you will have weights that would either be a little lighter or a little heavier, depending on what it was, because you also had weights and measures and balances that would be used to weigh out corn, or wheat, or different flours, different things that they had, back then as food, or as things that they were selling out in the open market, and they would not do it properly, so that they would rip the people off and make themselves richer. So it says, "Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall you have. I am the Lord your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt." So they know this, right? So now, we're going to go to, matter of fact, let's see what we got here. We kind of touched on that yesterday, but let's go here to this one. Matter of fact, you know what? Before we do that, like I said, we went yesterday through the term steward, right? And what business is called in the scriptures is traffic. All right. Traffic is pretty much a commercial term. Traffic is not being stuck in traffic. Traffic is a commercial term. Traffic is doing business, selling, buying. Genesis 42 and 34, right? This is dealing with Joseph when he encountered his brothers, and this is what he told them, because they wanted to do business in the land. They wanted to buy food, to bring home to their father and the rest of the Israelites that were in the land of Canaan. And this was one of the stipulations. He said, "And bring your youngest brother unto me, which was Benjamin. Then shall I know that you are no spies, but that you are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and you shall traffic in the land," meaning you shall do business in the land. When we look up this word traffic in the land, let's go to it. Traffic. The word there is sechar. And the word sachar is to go around, go about, travel about, go about in trade. All right. So a trafficker says to go about and to and fro in business. But the problem is that here in America, they have established a business format based upon fraudulent currency. All right. And when we go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, right, the 27th chapter, we'll start at the first verse. It says, many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. Meaning that when you're looking to become rich, there's another scripture that speaks about he that seeketh to be rich shall not be guiltless, or something like that. But when you're seeking to be rich, there are the standards that are put in place are removed out of the way because you want your pockets to get fat as quick as possible, no matter who gets hurt in the process. It says, that's why it says, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away, meaning they will not give heed to the standards set up into place just so that they could become rich. It says, as a nail sticketh fast between the joining of the stones, so the sin stick close between buying and selling. Now I have something here, right, which I want to show you. This is the GNT, which is the Good News Translation. This is Ecclesiasticus 27, which is Ben Sirach, or the son of Sirach. It says, many people have sinned while looking for a profit. If you want to be rich, you have to keep blinders on your eyes so you don't look at the, standards, so that you can remove those standards so that you can fatten your pockets, even though people are getting ripped off. It is hard to remove a peg that is stuck between two stones of a house. And it is just as hard to remove dishonesty from buying and selling. Unless you are determined in your fear of the Lord, your house is going to come down on you. And this is why, Salakia, this is why when we go to Habakkuk, the second chapter, which Elder Pastor did a breakdown on that, I haven't got a chance to watch that one. Lord's will, I can watch that. Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. These are his philosophies and his standards that are put into place. That cup of the whore. It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Why? Because these devils are greedy. Here it is, they have all the wealth in the world. They have everything that man could ever want. They have more than heart could wish, and they still want more and more and more. Well, the scriptures do not lie. He cannot be satisfied. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. This is what is being established, which is something that Esau has been trying to establish, going all the way back to the Greek Empire, which is a one world government, a one world order. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long? So pretty much what's happening now is the nations are looking for an out. And it says, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Now, when you look at the word thick clay, goes back to the Hebrew word ibat yat, which means heavy debt. And this dollar that had become the world reserve currency back in 1944, 1945, has laid a heavy debt upon the world. So the world is now looking for an alternate economy to help relieve the burden of the debt of this dollar that these devils have pushed upon the world. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Why? Because eventually this system is going to collapse and fall into their hands. Because if if and when when they establish this system, it's going to cause the economy to implode. And this is why these devils are pushing for this MOTB, which is the micro CHIP, to keep the world in debt. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations. And how did they spoil them? Through this fraudulent money. And this fraudulent money has put the world into debt through the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, by and the main culprit is this US dollar. It says, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth in evil covetousness to his house, because they've coveted evil by desiring the wealth of the world, and by using this fraudulent money to destroy people's lands, and to remove from the people to themselves their resources, their land, and everything of value to them, that he may be delivered from the power of evil, because they're trying to establish themselves, have this nest egg that will have them to be rich and powerful forever. But these things that you're doing as a fraud is going to be a witness against you. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. So this whole destruction that's coming, that is going to be the witness for what you have done. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. And we know that whoever does that, their town, their city will be destroyed, and their blood will be upon them, because that's the only way to cleanse a land of the blood that was shed upon it. And this land has been soiled by the blood of the saints. All right. So going back to the GNT, and we go to the third verse again, Sirach, or Ecclesiastes 27:3. Unless you are determined in your fear of the Lord, your house is going to come down on you. So the Lord is bringing down the house on these devils. All right. When we go to the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 10, are there yet treasures of wickedness? Matter of fact, before we read that, let's go to the book of Psalms, the 94th chapter, and the 20th verse. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Because iniquity and ruling does not mix. This is why it speaks about an unjust judge, not being able to keep and establish a wicked kingdom, because that wickedness is going to be a witness against them, and that wickedness is going to cause a translation of empire and wealth to another nation. In this case, we're at the very end, where the last heathen rulers of the earth are ruling, the Edomites, and that's going to be transferred over to Yahushai and the Israelites, us. So this is a question. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? So shall you continue to rule, which frameth mischief by a law? And they're putting laws into place that are mischievous, that are wicked, that are making people, pretty much debt slaves. So the Lord is not going to allow these devils to continue to rule. All right. They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, and condemn the innocent blood, because this is what they're doing. This new world order is about the condemnation of the children of the Most High, the Israelites, because they're trying to remove them out of the picture. It says, but the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge, because the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is going to lift up that standard against these devils when they try to make good on this so-called agenda. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, our power, shall cut them off. So going back to Micah 6 and 10, are there yet treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked, and the scant measure that is abominable? So what is the scant measure? Scant means little, because they are gypping the people of their money by the fraudulent economy that is in place. Okay? It says, shall I count them pure with the wicked balances and with the bag of deceitful weights? So this money system that they have in place is the wicked balances and the bag of deceitful weights, because they are not established upon the principles of the scriptures and even upon their own principles that they have written in their legislation, that Congress shall have no power but to coin money, you know. For the rich men thereof are full of violence. Now keep in mind, this applies back to the rich men of Israel back then, but now this applies to Esau, because everything that applied to us in the scriptures now applies to Esau. The negative light of the scriptures that was against us is now upon Esau and the other nations. Deuteronomy 30 and 7, read that. For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. All right. So let's go from there. Let's go to the book of James. And James 5 and 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Because eventually the Lord is going to bring, distress and destruction upon this system. And they that are not used to lifting up a hand to do any kind of work are going to be in a world of hurt. This is why in the book of Luke, the 16th chapter, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man is Esau in the kingdom, catching hell because they don't know how to work. You also have the parable of the unrighteous steward, which I was going to read in this lesson. If the Spirit allows, we'll read it. It's only a few verses, and they do not know how to conduct, work that's not fraudulent. Luke 16 and 1. And he said unto his disciples, there was a certain rich man which had a steward. Now, when we look up this word steward, the word steward goes into the modern term of treasurer today. When we go to the Greek word there is oikonomos. The word oiko or oikos is house. The word nomos is, management. So oikonomos is where you get the word economy from. It says the manager of household or of household affairs, especially a steward, manager, superintendent, whether freeborn or, as was usually the case, a freedman of a slave, to whom the head of the house or proprietor has entrusted the management of his affairs, the care of receipts and expenditures, and the duty of dealing out the proper portion to every servant, even to the children not yet of age. So you get the point. The superintendent of the city's finances, which we read, was what? A treasurer. The treasurer of a city, or of treasurers or questors of kings. So this particular, individual is akin to Esau. This is the unjust steward, and this is how they officiate business, because we are doing the Lord's business, which I wish I said, I'd be about my Father's business, and we are stewards. We've been given the money of the scriptures to maintain, the economy of the Lord, but Esau, which is an actual physical steward, he is not doing the right thing. So it says there was a certain rich man which had a steward, and the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. And he called him and said unto him, how is it that I hear this of thee? Give account of thy stewardship, for thou mayest be no longer steward. So they're going to be removed. So it says, then the steward said within himself, what shall I do? my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship. I cannot dig. So they don't know how to do a hard day's work. To beg, I am ashamed. So pretty much they're in straits because they are a proud man. Neither do they know what an honest day of work is all about. So it says, I am resolved what to do. I know what I'll do. When I am put out of the stewardship, so when I'm removed, they may receive me into their houses. So when we go to this translation here, I like this translation here, the NLT. I know how to ensure that I'll have plenty of friends who will give me a home when I am tired, right? Because he wanted to make good on something so that he could have something to fall back on. All right. So he called unto every one of his Lord's debtors. So he called every one of his Lord's debtors unto him and said unto the first, how much owest thou unto my Lord? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said unto him, take thy bill and sit down quickly and write 50. So pretty much what he did was, instead of losing everything from the debtors, he made a deal with them. So you have something in the economy known as fire sales, which are applied to, when shit's going down, which was really applied to actual fire, and they were trying to make, some type of money out of damaged goods. So seeing that this thing was damaged, he's trying to make as much money out of this damage so that he can be in the good graces of the rich man. It says, take that bill, sit down quickly and write 50. Then said he to another, and how much owest thou? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him, take that bill and write 80. And the Lord commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. So they know to do right more than Jake knows how to do right with, to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Mahushai, because Jake are rebellious people. So when we go back to James, it says 5:1, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you, because they're going to be weeping and howling because they don't know how to do an honest day of work. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Why? Because the way you got them was established upon wickedness. That's why there's going to be a great transfer of wealth, land, and everything else on the planet from Esau to Yahushai to Yasha'Allah. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. Right, because the way you got it is going to be a witness against you. This is why it says, and thus by violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, because this is what's going to destroy your world, your society, your empire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days, and we read that also in the book of Habakkuk. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. Right, these are the workers working with this fraudulent system that are, no matter how hard they work, they still find themselves behind the 8 ball. And they're crying, especially the Israelites. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, Yahweh Tazabawath. It says, you have lived in pleasure on the earth, right? Because they sumptuously every day, arrayed in purple and fine linen and, and all that. They're living it up and been wanton because they've been careless. This is why they'll just form their mouth to say whatever they want against the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and don't think there's going to be any repercussions. That's why they think that the Most High is on their side, because the Lord hasn't done anything to them to shake them up. But he's about to shake up the whole world and shake up Esau. That's why they're going to be running to these different shelters and trying to hide from Yahweh and from the wrath of the Lamb, Yahushai, when Yahushai comes back. Because the Lord is going to shake the earth terribly, because he's going to bring the destruction upon this place to cleanse it once and for all the wicked devices that these devils have put here, and all the innocent blood that they shed of the Israelites. You have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter, because they live deliciously. A day of slaughter is a day when you slaughter animals and have a great feast. They've been feasting, all this time. They're about to go down. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Why? Because we don't have the power, to resist him. So this is why the Lord said that he will not at all acquit the wicked. He's going to have them pay down to the last mite. They're going to pay down to the last cent. Everything. They're going to drink it down. They're going to gulp it down. As it states in the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. We drink of the cup, but we did. So here it is. We loved of the Most High, and the Lord chastises. You are hated of the Most High. You don't think the Lord is going to judge you? So this has been the rest of the lesson for the fraudulent economy. I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. This is going to bring about this establishment of this new system that they're trying to bring into place, which is the digital system. And that digital system is going to be predicated upon the MOTB, which is the MOTB, you know what that is. That's an acronym for what is written in the book of Revelation 13, which is the micro CHIP, which is going to be used to establish the new system, or the standard for the new system, which is a tracking device, which is, a device used for commerce, for traffic, for trade, and many other things, identification. This is going to be the wave of the future, and those who take that MOTB or the micro CHIP will be destroyed, because the Lord Yahweh will destroy you, but he will also make a way for the elect to escape, so that they don't have to partake in this beast system that's coming, this new currency that they're pushing out there. And they're using all these other guises and all these other, distractions to bring it into place, and this is why we see the world collapsing with this US, or the economy of the world collapsing because of this US dollar, because they already accomplished what they needed with the Federal Reserve System. Now it's time to move it into the next phase. And Lord's will, by the end of this year, they'll have this system all in place, so that they could do what they have to do. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai can move his right hand and deliver us out of this dirty, infested filth hole of a world. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say Shalom, and Tawada for tuning in.